I've noticed that there are a lot of books on emergency medicine that are not textbooks. Basically, there's a lot of fiction and nonfiction where emergency care providers write about the crazy stories of the ED. And I thought, one, how many of these books are out there? And two, if I read all of these books, would there be some common themes? So, this short talk is going to be about the world of EM literature, real life stories from the ER. The talk will be divided into two parts: how I found all of these books and what I've learned by reading them. These methods are not rigorous, but here are my methods on how I found the canon of emergency medicine, fiction, and nonfiction. I started my search for these books on Amazon. I figured most books from the 1980s onwards, largely when the specialty started, would be on Amazon, and eventually I'll do a formal library search. Then I used the search terms below, which is basically every combination of ER, ED, fiction, nonfiction, 911. From this list, like any good scientist, I made some exclusion criteria. So I excluded emergency medicine textbooks, and I excluded Kindle exclusive books because a girl's got standards. I also excluded all the many, many romance novels that take place in the emergency department. This left me with a grand total of 26 books, and I read them all. So here are the top 10 most interesting facts and common themes that I learned from reading these books. Interesting fact number 10. So who is writing these stories and where are they geographically practicing? So the majority of the stories were written by physicians, some by nurses, ED clerks, and one by a ghostwriter. As you can see, they're geographically located across the country. And 22 of the books are nonfiction and 4 of the books are fiction. Interesting fact number 9. The most prolific writer in the genre is Carrie Ham, who wrote 12 books. She's an ED clerk who practiced for 30 plus years across the country, but settled into a small town ED in Ohio, where most of her stories come from. She also has the best titles, including Hold My Beer and Watch This and It's Fall, Y'all. Interesting fact number 8. Obviously, these books have some truly hilarious stories. It's like taking your own personal highlight reel and combining them with others to get the best of the best stories. So here are some of my favorites based on Chief Complaints. So Chief Complaint on Fall on Outstretched Hand is really a story on a DMV heist gone very wrong. Why anyone would want to heist a DMV, I do not know. But they fall on ice, break their wrists, and accidentally shoot themselves. Chief Complaint of Fecal Impaction is a story actually on a woman who disimpacts herself in the waiting room, causing, quote, a fecal tsunami in the waiting room, and everyone in the waiting room leaves. Lastly, A Tale of Halloween Drunkenness. There's a Wars vs. Star Trek brawl in the waiting room. Everyone chooses sides, regardless of relevance. It's unclear who wins at the end. Interesting fact number 7. Some of these books have futuristic fiction on issues that face the emergency department. So one of the most creative stories comes from Jay Baruch's What's Left Out. In this story, he envisions a future in which psych boarding has gotten so out of control that future emergency departments create a suicide stress test. Basically, a patient who is suicidal is locked into a room with every imaginable modality to kill themselves: pills, ropes, guns, knives, etc. And admission is based on whether they make an attempt at suicide. This story is super weird, super creative, and also is awesome. Interesting fact number 6. One of the most inspirational books is Living and Dying in Brick City. Dr. Samson Davis grows up in an impoverished community in NYC, goes to medical school, becomes a doctor, then goes back to practice in the very same turbulent neighborhood he grew up in. His book highlights the socioeconomic and racial lines that exist in medicine. So, common theme number 5. Almost every book that I read had some sort of story about a foreign body. So, I call this common theme Strange Object X will invariably end up in Body Orifice Y, and it is hilarious. Another common theme across books is a lot of these stories reference night. I think night is an important theme because it is an aspect of our job that is very different. It highlights the vocation for us as providers and the desperation of people at night. As one book describes, night is the time when lucky people get to sleep. Another common theme across books is the struggle to find empathy. So one author describes this struggle with the caring curve. As you progress throughout med school and residency, empathy drops and you slowly regain empathy throughout attendinghood, but never quite reach your original level. These books highlight that we are clearly not alone in this struggle of burnout in emergency medicine, and I'm glad it's being discussed in these books. Another common theme involves randomness. As one author describes, ER medicine is a graduate level course in randomness. We are constantly battling randomness on shift. The need for patients to find a pattern in their randomness is something we battle. The need for us to find a pattern in the randomness, to find meaning in our job, is something we battle. It is very human to want order. And I think overall, what all these books are trying to accomplish for us as physicians is to provide some sort of semblance of order and meaning. In conclusion, the ultimate common theme throughout these books is hope. Hope our patients will get better, hope that we will turn back to empathy, and hope that we are making some sort of difference.